you name it. Here in Baton Rouge, though, there's a column there for City Court as well. And running for City Court Judge is Niles Haymer. He joins us in studio right now. Niles, good morning. Welcome back. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. I'm doing well this morning. Happy October.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know. I feel like it should be cooler outside. Well, it started off cool, but we're going to get up to 90 today. Not very Octoberish,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But this is the time. This is crunch time, man. 5 weeks till Election Day as of today. So I want to get into you and your resume in a little bit. But I want to start with this because when we see, just as a layperson, when you're looking up and down the ballot, you see a number of different judges or judge seats that are up there. So I want to start with this. What does the city court judge do?
That's a very important question, and that's the question I'm getting on the campaign trail. City court is the municipal court for the city of Baton Rouge. If you live within the city limits of Baton Rouge, you can vote for Baton Rouge City Court Judge. City limits of Baton Rouge is not St. George, it's not Central, it's not Baker, not Zachary, not in unincorporated areas. It's only the city limits of Baton Rouge. And unlike the 19th Judicial District Court, we call it the 19 JDC, that handles the more serious felony cases, the more serious civil cases, class action suits, City Court, we handle misdemeanor cases, summons that are given to you by Baton Rouge Police Department. We handle civil cases, small claims, and evictions. And in my 20 years of practice, I've practiced in city court for all 20 years, and I'm a former city court prosecutor. So I've prosecuted cases in Baton Rouge City Court. And we handle those traffic tickets. Everybody in this parish, not just in the city, everybody in this parish will get a traffic ticket by a BRPD officer sometime during their lifetime.
Yeah.
So you will have to go through city court for those particular traffic matters.
How busy is the Baton Rouge City Court? How overloaded is the Baton Rouge City Court?
Baton Rouge City Court stays busy. It's really busy, mainly because of the traffic matters we deal with. Yeah. Everybody has to come through with their traffic matters, the parking tickets. If you have friends in Spanish Town and they get those parking tickets, they come through City Court. We deal with the evictions, so I've represented landlords and tenants in eviction proceedings. We deal with judgment debtor rules. What is a judgment debtor rule? That means when you owe somebody money and they get a judgment against you and they want to collect on that judgment, you come through Baton Rouge City Court. And we deal with everyday quarrels like you see on People's Court. Somebody's fighting about a limb falling on a gate and you owe me $1,000. Right. You don't go to the 19 JDC fighting over $1,000, and you normally don't hire an attorney for $1,000. But you want your money, so you come through Baton Rouge City Court, and the judge will hear both sides, and usually the rules of evidence are kind of lax during those type of hearings.
Okay, so let's talk about that because it presents an interesting scenario where you were a prosecutor in City Court, but a lot of the City Court stuff that wouldn't involve an attorney.
Yes.
How does that play?
So a vast majority of what we do in City Court is the traffic matter. So I did prosecute traffic tickets. I worked to resolve tickets with everyday citizens. But the civil cases, I filed civil suits in Baton Rouge City Court because Baton Rouge City Court can handle civil cases up to the amount of $35,000. So although we deal with the small claims, we can also deal with civil cases up to $35,000. So if you have a car accident and it's not one of those big Gordon McKernan or Peyton Murphy type cases, you can come through City Court and get your matter resolved in City Court.
We got Niles Haymer in studio with us. He's running for Baton Rouge City Court Judge, number 62 on the ballot. All right, Niles, let's talk about you.
Yes.
Run us through the bio, man. Start us from the beginning.
All right, I'll give you my bio. So I'm born here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I laughed at one of your jokes earlier this morning about Pete Rose. A lot of people wouldn't get the joke, but being that I'm a 70s baby, I kind of grew up doing the Pete Rose scandal, so I get the joke. I've attended.
Hang on, because this can be posted online afterwards.
Yes.
For those that are listening to it online, or for those that weren't listening in the 7 o'clock hour, of course, one of the headlines this morning was that Pete Rose died at the age of 83. Yes. My punchline was I had the over at 84. So,
yeah, if you don't get it, then Google it. That's what I tell my kids.
It's a gambling joke.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, but grew up here in Baton Rouge. I moved to Mississippi. My parents divorced when I was young. Moved to Mississippi at a very young age in the 3rd grade, came back to go to Southern in 1996, and I've been back here ever since. Graduated from Southern University, where I was the student body president. Graduated from Southern University Law Center in 2003, passed the bar the first time. Been practicing over 20 years, had my own private practice, and I've been a former prosecutor in Baton Rouge City Court. And I always tell people I'm the only candidate in the race who's actually practiced in Baton Rouge City Court and actually prosecuted cases in Baton Rouge City Court.
We got Niles Haymer in with us. He's running for Baton Rouge City Court judge. Let's talk about that because you've been both a prosecutor and a defense attorney. That presents a different perspective, doesn't it?
It does, and it's very helpful when you want to be a judge and you want to preside over cases. You want to have a sense of impartiality. You want people to know you're fair, impartial, and you have integrity. What better way of showing people that you're fair than saying, I used to be a defense attorney. I used to be a public defender. I used to be a prosecutor. I represented the plaintiff in civil cases. I represented the defendant in civil cases. And I also represented the landlord and the tenant in eviction proceedings. Those are all the cases that will come before me as a city court judge.
Right.
And I've been on both sides. So I tell people, you can't be more fair than that. I hadn't had one avenue in my life where I just focus on the prosecution and that's it. I've done both, but in doing both, I've been very good at what I've done. I've been a very good defense attorney, and I was a great assistant city prosecutor for Baton Rouge City Court. And I take pride in actually saying that Niles Haymer on behalf of the city of Baton Rouge every time I made an appearance in Baton Rouge City Court.
And we'll see. You talk about having a great record on that front. If you're in city court, that doesn't mean putting people away for like years and years and years. It's not like being, it's a different vibe than say working in the DA's office.
It is, however, city court is where you can put somebody on the right path because we handle the first offense DWIs and second offense DWIs.
Okay.
And if we don't get them on the right path, then next thing you know, they're in the 19 JDC because they killed somebody in their car.
Right.
Same thing with domestic violence. We just had a domestic violence killing yesterday.
Yes, we did.
We handle first offense domestic violence cases. And if you do not get the person on the right path and you're not stern with them, then you get what you get yesterday, which is a sad situation for everybody in this parish, that women and men are falling victim to domestic violence. So your city court judge is almost like the gatekeeper. It's like if you come through my court, although we're not the more serious court as the 19 JDC, I can change your life. I can get you on the right path. So we don't have to worry about you doing all the stuff that you may do and get to the 19 JDC. I can help straighten your life out.
We got Niles Haymer with us. He's running for Baton Rouge City Court judge. Niles, you're also an adjunct law school professor here.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about what you do in that role and how you're going to utilize that on the bench.
Yes. So every now and then, and I can bore you all day with city court talk, and I guarantee my students are probably thinking, yes, he can bore us all day with talk about family law. I taught family law, and I taught torts. Torts is personal injury type of civil law, and I taught family law, custody, and divorces. And it's the legal landscape in law school has changed in a way because, we do it sometimes virtually, teach class, sometimes we teach in person, but it's the way you explain it to people so they can understand the law. And that's how I feel like I can do with everyday citizens when they come through my court. You have to have a way about you talking about the law and explaining it to just everyday lay people so they can understand. And that's what I've done throughout my 20 years of practicing, and that's what I'll do on the bench.
Got a couple minutes left here with Niles Haymer running for Baton Rouge City Court judge. All right, if you're elected, what do you want to do with the post? Is there room to make it Niles' job, or is it pretty spelled out?
So when I tell you this is going to blow your mind, Brian. We have over 100,000 bench warrants, not in East Baton Rouge Parish, not at the 19 JDC, not with all courts combined, just in Baton Rouge City Court. And a vast majority of those 100,000 bench warrants are for traffic matters.
Yeah.
And when you get a bench warrant for traffic matters, they suspend your driver's license and they can pick you up and take you to jail at any time. So we have a lot of citizens driving on our roads without valid driver's licenses, without insurance. And if you don't have a license, you probably don't have registration either. And I believe that brings about a public safety risk. We can't arrest our way out of the problem. We cannot. It would be great if we could. When I practiced, Dr. Bo Clark used to send us files. Dr. Bo Clark is our coroner. That's the only way we dismiss some of the bench warrants is when people died.
Wow.
So we have to do a better job getting a hold of our bench warrants. So my goal is to cut those bench warrants in half during my first term. And the way you do that, you have community warrant resolution clinics. I don't believe in amnesty, but I do believe in bringing people in and taking away the fear of going to jail. I want you to pay your fines because the city of Baton Rouge needs that money, but I also want to take that fear of going to jail away so you can come in and pay those fines. And I've traveled all over the country working for the CJCC, the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, where we actually looked at other jurisdictions, how they do their bench warrants, and they have clinics at the library and community centers. And nobody's afraid that somebody's going to jump behind the bookshelf to take them to jail at a library. And they come in and they take care of their warrants and they take care of their matters. And their driver's licenses are reinstated. And guess what? They have citizens driving on the road with valid insurance and a valid driver's license. And I think that's great for public safety.
Yeah, I mean, because something like that starts with something that is very innocuous. It's, not coming to a stop before making a right on red, that sort of thing. And then, somebody misses the court date and then the dominoes start to fall.
We've all been there. In my younger years, I was there, and the fear of coming to court because you do not have the money. We don't have a debtor's prison, meaning we lock you up because you don't have the money to pay.
Right.
At city court, we give you time to pay. I know all 5 judges over there. I practiced before all 5 judges. They give you time to come in and pay your fees. But at the same time, it's about law and order. You have to respect that summons, that citation that Baton Rouge Police Department gives you and says your court date is October the 1st. That means you need to be there October the 1st. If you miss, you can get a warrant. And who knows, December the 24th, the day before Christmas, you're getting picked up on a traffic warrant. And that's a way of ruining your Christmas. So my goal is to have these clinics reinforce people taking care of their business and taking the fear out of traffic matters.
Okay, so but at the same time, though, that would involve getting outside of the courtroom, though. That's a tall task.
Yes, outside of the courtroom, but we can find funding. The job that I work in now, we find funding to do certain programs. We write grants, we get grant funding. There's funding out there from the United States Department of Justice to come up with innovative ways of taking care of these warrants and helping people be able to drive with valid driver's licenses and insurance. And if we can do that, then I believe it can make a very big difference in the city of Baton Rouge.
Okay, knocking 100,000 bench warrants down to 50,000 is a tall task.
Yes.
What else do you have planned?
In addition to that, I believe that the city court judge should be a judge that understands all area of the law in city court. One thing I do want to focus on is bringing in the law schools a little bit more to practice a little bit more in city court, because city court isn't district court. We don't have jury trials. The judge essentially makes the decision in a lot of cases. I believe some of the law clinics at LSU and Southern Law School should do more of their clinical training in Baton Rouge City Court and more mediation in Baton Rouge City Court.
He is Niles Haymer, running for City Court Judge, Baton Rouge City Court Judge, coming up on Election Day, November 5th. Early voting is actually almost upon us. We're a little more than 2 weeks away. October 18th through 29th would be the early voting period here. Niles, I appreciate a couple minutes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you as well. We're coming up on ABC News in right at 1 minute, which gives me enough time to tell you about the folks over at Mathern's Market. Tell you every day. Download the